what's called the Byrd rule in the Senate. We're using reconciliation so that we only need 50 votes in the Senate instead of 60. In order to do that, the certain proposals can only have certain economic impact, and one of the ways to game the system is to make things expire. A lot of this is a gimmick. Obamacare was a gimmick to get through these rules in the Senate.
Trump is expected to meet with Senate Republicans on Tuesday to help sell at least 50 Republican lawmakers on the Senate's version of a conservative tax cut plan that went through the House last week. There are a couple of key differences between the House plan and the Senate plan. For example, the Senate bill would repeal the individual mandate in the Affordable Care Act. But at least one major factor is the same: major permanent tax cuts for corporations that would add trillions of dollars to the deficit over the next 10 years, paid for by temporary tax cuts or even tax hikes on Americans who aren't rich. Joining me now, a senior political writer at 538.com, Perry Bacon Jr., Democratic pollster Fernand Amandi, National Republican consultant Caton Dawson, and Washington Post opinion writer Jennifer Rubin. Thanks all. Perry, I'm going to go to you first. The Tax Policy Center has weighed in on the Senate version of the plan. This is the Senate Finance Committee's plan. And it says the following: some taxpayers would pay more in taxes under the proposal in 2019 and 2025, about 9% of taxpayers in 2019 and 12% in 2025. In 2027, however, taxes would increase for 50% of taxpayers. In the middle income quintile, 28% would receive a tax cut and 66% would get a tax increase. I'm wondering just what you're hearing about the politics of raising taxes on about 1 in 10 taxpayers a year before the presidential election.
They seem to think, and you heard Mulvaney talk about this a little bit, is two things. First of all, when you get to 2027, there's a lot of people with tax increases, but they're saying those will go away, basically. It's a gimmick. We'll cut taxes in 2025, and it won't be permanent. So that's what Mulvaney was saying. But overall, the Republicans seem to think the argument that most people will get a tax decrease will work, even if you have millions of people get a tax increase. They think that the tax increases are spread out a lot, and one thing is the target of the tax increases is particularly people in California, New York, New Jersey, because of getting rid of the deduction for state and local income taxes, and those people don't vote for Republicans already. So part of the thing that's going on here is there are some tax increases targeted to people that don't vote for Republicans, and Republicans don't say that, but they're pretty much fine with those.
But, and Caton Dawson, I've talked with friends in Georgia, the mayor of Columbus, and she pointed out to me that, Georgians are going to pay more under that tax break that's supposedly targeted to blue states that didn't vote for Donald Trump. But, you have Georgians that'll pay more, too, if you get rid of that state and income tax deduction. But the other target for this is people with very low income. A little bit more, this is a New York Times article about the Joint Committee on Taxation's conclusions about the bill. If the Senate bill becomes law, Americans earning $30,000 a year or below would pay higher taxes beginning in 2021 than they will if the bill is not enacted. The projected increase stems from the repeal of the ACA mandate that most people have to buy health insurance. How does the Republican Party sell the idea of actually raising taxes on the lowest income Americans?
Well, one of the things I'll talk about politics in general is I don't think a lot of American public is concerned about 2027, 2025. They're concerned about 2018 and 2019. And what they do see is the doubling of the standard deduction. 69% of Americans don't itemize deductions on their tax returns. So you're getting a large swath of Americans who are going to get what they seem to be instant tax relief. But again, the politics of this are they won't feel that till 2019. And that'll be after the 2018 midterms. So a lot of things can happen there. It's Perry's very spot on when he talks about the states that are going to get hit the hardest on the deductions and losing the state and income tax and property tax deductions in their states. So at the end of the day, when you start talking about taxes, Republicans can't make the mistake of Mitt Romney of saying 47% of Americans don't pay federal income taxes, whether that's true or not. But about everyone in America, whether you're a minimum wage or not, is paying 39% taxes on every dollar they make because it's fees, local taxes, local assessments. So taxes are a concern to everyone. It's just a matter of what you identify politically is who caused them. Well, and the Republicans now, with Donald Trump, they've got 2018 coming, and if they don't show a bill passed with a Republican majority in the House and a Republican majority in the Senate, regardless of the blocking of the Democrats, they'll have hell to pay at the ballot box in 2018.
And, you know, it's interesting because I think Kate makes an important point, Fernand, that, you know, Republicans are under a lot of pressure from their donors who are ordering them to pass something that looks like a tax cut for the rich. You know, it's what they want. So they have to do it, right? They have to try to do it. But I'm wondering if even the Democrats would be able to message against a tax increase on middle-class people to pay for permanent tax cuts for corporations and the rich. That sounds simple enough even for Democrats to be able to message against.
You know, it does. But, I mean, I was listening to Caden's point, and it's rather incoherent because he can't even defend the policy here, Joy. Look, what are the Republicans saying here? It aims at poor people, so it's a good thing to do. And the Republicans define poor people as anybody who's not in the 1% of Americans. Let's get past the stark, raving hypocrisy of the fact that this tax bill, the way it's constituted, would add trillions of dollars to the deficit. The same Republican Party who, when President Obama was managing the ship of state, shut down the government over anything that hinted at a deficit, yet they're willing to do it here again. I also think back to the history. How many times have they tried to sell us on this sugar-coated tax cut plan, which was disastrous for the economy, that ended up basically unraveling and bringing us to the brink? We saw it in the Bush administration. We see it again now. I don't think there's any credibility in Joy. That's why the polling around this tax cut plan, you look at it, only about 26% of Americans support it. Nearly 63%, depending on which poll you look at, are against it. It is deeply unpopular.
Yeah, and Jennifer, you know, I think that's an important point because you see in the polling that it's gotten through to the majority of people, at least in these polls, that the tax cut would be at their expense and help the rich. The other thing I think is weird is Mick Mulvaney, quite frankly. He is a weird messenger on this because he doesn't seem embarrassed about saying, yeah, we're going to hike taxes on poor people and going after something that used to be sacred. Social Security disability. This is Donald Trump. This is a poll quote from a political profile of Mulvaney in September. And he says, look, this is my idea how to reform Social Security, the former South Carolina congressman began. No, the president replied. I told people we wouldn't do that. What's next? Well, here are some Medicare reforms, Mulvaney then says. No, Trump repeated, I'm not doing that. Then he goes to, okay, disability insurance, which he considers Social Security disability insurance, Mulvaney does, to be welfare. Well, here's a map of the people who participate in Social Security disability insurance. It's heavily in the South. Social Security disability insurance, I think like 2/3 of the recipients are older white Americans, Trump voters. Does the Republican Party have a problem here now that they're openly talking about cutting Medicare and cutting SSDI as part of this overall package of what they call tax reform?
They should. They should have two problems. One, this is being paid for, as your other guests mentioned, not only by raising taxes eventually on those middle-class people, but they're going to have to cut services across the board. This is going to exert a pressure on spending that mostly benefits middle and lower-income Americans. Now, beyond that, I think you have the real issue that for Republicans, and this is where Democrats need to remember, they need to peel off Republican votes. So my suggestion to them, free advice is what you pay for, but nevertheless is to focus on the debt and the deficit. You have Republicans out there, Jeff Flake, you have Bob Corker, who say they do not want to grow the debt and the deficit. This is a deficit buster. Any analysis, whether it's the Tax Policy Center, whether it's the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, anyone that you look at, we're going to be adding trillions to the debt. So if those Republicans, some of whom don't have to stand for election, want to go out as principled Republicans, I'm talking to you, Bob Corker, I'm talking to you, Jeff Flake, and want to be true to their values, they shouldn't be supporting this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, lightning round. Let's see if this is going to pass. Kate and Dawson, best in the business at prognosticating Republican politics. Does this bill, either the Senate version or the House version, ultimately pass and become law?
It'll hit conference committee and it'll pass because the politics behind it beat the policy, and Republicans are going to need to show a victory for 2018 midterms.
But do you think that raising people's taxes will ultimately hurt them on the politics?
I think cutting corporation taxes, doubling the standard deductions, talking about the economic activity that will come with it will win the day. The Republicans will be the people who cut taxes, and the Democrats will be the ones who want to raise taxes. That'll be the political message.
Okay, that's the old way that politics used to work, Perry Bacon Jr. Will it work that way this time? Will this pass, and will Republicans be glad it passed?
I think it will pass because Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and the donors really want it to pass. So I think that's a different direction of whether it should pass or whether it's good politics. I don't think it's good politics in part because you're going to have a lot of these members in swing districts where this bill raises, if you're in an upper income district, this might raise taxes in those areas. So I think it's actually probably not good politics, and you'll see some members in close districts vote against it. But I think overall it probably will pass.
Fernanda Mondi, my friend from Florida, expert on politics, all things politics. Does it pass, and will Republicans regret it if it does?
Well, on this Thanksgiving weekend, I am thankful for the founders because, Joy, I think you see a lot of political posturing going on. But when it comes time to cast the vote, no way in hell 3 Republicans of conscience are going to let this lemon be sold to the American people. Does not pass. Another goose egg for Donald Trump.
All right, on this show, we like to give the ladies the last word, so I'm going to Jennifer Rubin for the final word. Does it pass? And do Republicans regret it?
Not this. Something will pass, and they'll declare victory over it. And it won't help them in 2018 because you say, as you say, Joy, even Democrats can figure out a way to run against this. Repealing the estate tax? What, so Ivanka doesn't have to worry about ever paying a dime of inheritance tax?
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm so mean to the Democrats. I know I am. Sorry, but it's true. All right, well, this is a great panel. We're going to keep them around because we love these guys so much. And coming up, the not-so-secret plot to destroy Obamacare. But first, American Pie Wars.
April is just upset because the only thing she know how to cook and serve is the very fake news. That's right. And what we want to know, she keep questioning me that she want proof of Sarah Huckabee's pie. Well, we want proof that she's really a journalist. Okay, because when we look at the whole ordeal, she ain't no more journalist than Miss Piggy was married to Carmen. That's right. So we want to know her proof because we ain't really never heard of her until this administration. She just trying to be relevant.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.